I lived a solitary life, the monotony of which was only broken by the company of my loyal dog, Max, and the routine of my job at a nondescript company. Days merged into one another, indistinguishable but for the slow ticking of the clock and Max's soft breathing beside me. My existence was unremarkable, safe in its predictability, until the day it wasn't. The first sign that something was amiss occurred on a Tuesday, weeks ago, when I felt eyes on me as I walked to work. Chalking it up to paranoia, I brushed off the sensation. However, it persisted, growing more intense with each passing day. I started noticing a shadow, fleeting yet distinct, that seemed to follow me. It was always there, just at the edge of my vision, disappearing whenever I tried to focus on it. Max sensed it too. His behavior changed. He became protective, growling softly at shadows and scrutinizing every passerby with suspicion. Nights, once a refuge, turned restless. Sounds outside my window, barely perceptible, kept me awake, straining my ears in the darkness. Max's ears would perk up, his body tensed, ready to spring at any moment. Then, one night, the unimaginable happened. I was jolted awake by the sound of shattering glass. Max was already on his feet, barking furiously. My heart pounded as I grabbed the baseball bat I kept by my bed. Adrenaline surged through my veins. Fear sharpened my senses. As I crept towards the living room, the intruder emerged from the shadows, a menacing figure with intentions as dark as the night. Max didn't hesitate. He lunged at the intruder with a ferocity I had never seen, biting and snapping, his barks echoing through the house. The intruder fought back, a knife glinting in the dim light. It was a bloody battle, terrifying in its intensity. I swung the bat with all my might, managing to hit the intruder, who staggered back, caught off guard by the resilience of his unexpected opponents. The fight seemed to last an eternity, but it ended with the intruder fleeing, leaving behind a trail of blood. Max, though injured, had saved my life. We were both battered and bruised, but alive. The aftermath was a blur of police lights and questions. The intruder's blood was a crucial piece of evidence, leading the police to a suspect with a criminal record, known for stalking and breaking into homes. It emerged that he had been watching me for weeks, tracking my movements, learning my routine. In the days that followed, my home, once my sanctuary, felt foreign and unsafe. The shattered window was repaired, but the sense of violation lingered. Max, my brave companion, recovered from his injuries, his loyalty unwavering. The police assured me that the man was in custody, but the fear remained, a constant shadow. This experience has changed me. I'm more cautious, wary of shadows, and the feeling of being watched never truly leaves me. Max remains by my side, vigilant and protective. A reminder of the night we faced terror together and survived. Our bond is stronger, forged in adversity, a testament to his unwavering loyalty and bravery. The tranquility of my previous life is gone, replaced by a heightened awareness of the fragility of safety. I've learned the hard way that danger can lurk in the most unexpected places, hidden in the shadows of our everyday lives. But with Max beside me, I face each day with a newfound strength, knowing that together we can confront whatever challenges may come our way. The first call came on a Thursday night, just past midnight. The digital clock on my nightstand cast a soft glow, the only light in the darkness of my small, one-bedroom house. Living alone had never bothered me, cherished the solitude, the quiet, and the freedom it afforded me. That night, as the shrill ring of the phone pierced the silence, I felt an unease that was unfamiliar and jarring. I reached out, half expecting to hear the voice of a friend, perhaps someone who had dialed my number by mistake at this ungodly hour. Instead, there was silence. A heavy, oppressive silence that seemed to fill the room, thick with anticipation. I hung up, attributing the call to a wrong number, a simple error in the vast, impersonal network of telecommunications. But the calls continued, each night, always at the same time. 12:07 a.m. Silence greeted me at the other end. A silence that soon became a presence in itself, an invisible intruder that invaded my home night after night. My initial irritation gave way to a creeping dread, the kind that gnaws at the edges of your mind, insidious and relentless. I contacted the phone company, hoping for an explanation or a solution. "It's probably just a glitch," they said, or perhaps a prankster with too much time on their hands. They advised me to change my number, a suggestion I promptly followed. But the calls persisted, unfazed by the change, a ghost in the machine that refused to be exorcised. Then, the whispers started. Soft at first, so faint I thought I had imagined them. But night after night, they grew louder, more insistent. Words formed from the shadows, words that sent chills down my spine. My name, whispered with an intimacy that was almost tender, tinged with an undercurrent of something darker. Fear took root in my heart, a constant companion that shadowed my every step. The calls became a nightly ritual, a macabre game of cat and mouse played with an unseen adversary. Sleep eluded me, the dread of the impending call keeping me awake, my eyes fixed on the clock as it inched closer to the appointed hour. The police were sympathetic, but helpless in the face of my torment. Without a threat, without anything tangible to investigate, their hands were tied. "It's just a prank," they said, echoing the phone company's dismissive explanation. But I knew, deep down, that it was more than that. This was personal, a targeted campaign designed to terrify and unnerve me. I contacted the phone company, hoping for an explanation or a solution. "It's probably just a glitch," they said, or perhaps a prankster with too much time on their hands. They advised me to change my number, a suggestion I promptly followed. But the calls persisted, unfazed by the change, a ghost in the machine that refused to be exorcised. Then, the whispers started. Soft at first, so faint I thought I had imagined them. But night after night, they grew louder, more insistent. Words formed from the shadows, words that sent chills down my spine. My name, whispered with an intimacy that was almost tender, tinged with an undercurrent of something darker. Fear took root in my heart, a constant companion that shadowed my every step. The calls became a nightly ritual, a macabre game of cat and mouse played with an unseen adversary. Sleep eluded me, the dread of the impending call keeping me awake, my eyes fixed on the clock as it inched closer to the appointed hour. The police were sympathetic, but helpless in the face of my torment. Without a threat, without anything tangible to investigate, their hands were tied. "It's just a prank," they said, echoing the phone company's dismissive explanation. But I knew, deep down, that it was more than that. This was personal, a targeted campaign designed to terrify and unnerve me. It was a friend who suggested the possibility that chilled me to the bone. "What if the call is coming from inside the house?" she said, half in jest, unaware of the seed of terror her words planted in my mind. The thought consumed me, a paranoid fantasy that became an obsession. I scrutinized every corner of my home, every shadow, and every sound, but I found nothing. No sign of an intruder, no evidence to support my growing suspicion. Then, one night, driven by a desperation I could no longer contain, I decided to confront my tormentor. I waited for the call, phone in hand, my heart pounding in my chest. As the clock struck 12:07, the familiar ringtone shattered the silence. But this time, I was prepared. I had activated a call trace, a last-ditch effort to uncover the source of my nightmare. The call ended, and I waited, breath held, for the results of the trace. What I discovered turned my blood to ice, a revelation so shocking, so utterly unthinkable, that I could scarcely comprehend it. The call had come from inside the house, a line I had long forgotten, buried in the seldom-used basement. I was not alone. The pieces fell into place, a puzzle completed to reveal a picture of obsession and madness. It was my ex-partner, the one I had left because of their increasingly erratic behavior, the refusal to accept the end of our relationship. They had found a way back into my life, a way to torment me from the shadows, unseen but ever present. The basement door loomed before me, a barrier to the truth I had long denied. With trembling hands, I opened it, descending into the darkness below. There, in the gloom, I found them, surrounded by the detritus of their obsession. Photos of us, mementos of our time together, and a makeshift bed where they had slept, undetected and dangerously close. The confrontation was inevitable, a clash of fear, anger, and residual affection that ended with the arrival of the police. They took my ex-partner away, a shell of the person I had once known, consumed by an obsession that had driven them to madness. In the aftermath, I struggled to come to terms with the reality of my experience. My home no longer felt like a sanctuary, but a reminder of the terror I had endured. The phone, once a lifeline to the outside world, now represented a portal to unimaginable horrors. I learned, in the most harrowing way, that the greatest fear can come from those we once held close, those who know us intimately and can exploit that knowledge in ways we can scarcely imagine. My story is one of survival, a testament to the strength required to face the darkness, both from within and without. But it is also a warning, a cautionary tale about the dangers of obsession, the invasion of privacy, and the fear that can arise when love turns to something twisted and unrecognizable. In the end, the true horror was not the late-night calls or the whispers in the dark. It was the realization that someone I had once trusted could become my worst nightmare. It began innocuously enough. A notification here, a like there. Old photos, ones I had almost forgotten about, were suddenly resurfacing on my social media feeds, courtesy of someone I didn't recognize. At first, I was flattered. It felt good to be noticed, even by a stranger. But the attention quickly escalated, becoming something far more intrusive. The stranger, operating under the username Echoes Off You, didn't just like my posts. They began commenting on them too. Their remarks were peculiar, noting details I had barely paid attention to myself. Love the red mug, always a classic choice, they wrote under a photo from 3 years ago. A snapshot of my morning coffee, the red mug barely visible in the corner. Their engagement with my online presence was strange, but what came next was downright disturbing. Echoes of, you started posting photos on their own profile, images that were uncannily similar to mine. At first glance, it seemed like mere coincidence, or perhaps a form of flattery. But as I looked closer, a chill ran down my spine. The angles, the backgrounds, even the timing of the posts suggested they were not just recreating my photos. They were taking these pictures near me, in real life, shadowing my every move. I decided to confront them online. "Who are you?" I messaged echoes of you. "Why are you copying my life?" Their response was immediate. A simple smiley face followed by, "Isn't imitation the sincerest form of flattery?" I wasn't amused. "This is creepy. Stop following me." But they didn't stop. The photos became more personal, more invasive. A picture of me at my favorite cafe, viewed from across the street. A photo of me walking through the park, taken from behind a tree. Each post was a violation, a silent assertion that they were always there, always watching. The breaking point came with a photo that couldn't be ignored. It was a picture of my home, my front door, with a caption that read, "A place of secrets and stories." Panic set in. This person wasn't just a distant admirer. They were a stalker, documenting my life from the shadows. I enlisted the help of a friend, Alex, a tech-savvy confidant who had been following my ordeal with growing concern. "We need to find out who's behind echoes of you," Alex said, their fingers flying over the keyboard as they began to dig through digital footprints. The search led us down a rabbit hole of IP addresses, social media analytics, and online behaviors. The digital trail was convoluted, but Alex was relentless. "Got something," they finally announced, their voice a mix of triumph and disbelief. "You're not going to like it." The revelation was as unexpected as it was horrifying. Echoes of you was someone I knew, a former friend named Jamie. We had been close once, inseparable, until life took us in different directions. I had moved on, but Jamie hadn't. Their fixation on me had grown in the silence, morphing into an obsession that neither of us had noticed until it was too late. Confrontation was inevitable. I reached out to Jamie, my message a mixture of anger, confusion, and a desperate need for answers. "Why are you doing this, Jamie? Why me?" The reply was chilling in its simplicity. "Because you moved on, and I couldn't. I wanted to be part of your life again, any way I could." The line between admiration and eerie fixation had not just been blurred. It had been erased entirely. Jamie's obsession had driven them to shadow my life, documenting it as if it were their own. The realization was a shock, a betrayal by someone I had once trusted. The climax of our story wasn't dramatic. There were no confrontations in the dark, no final showdowns. Instead, there was a quiet admission of guilt from Jamie, a plea for understanding, and a promise to seek help. But the damage was done. My sense of safety, both online and in the real world, had been shattered. The social media mimic had shown me a dark side of digital life, a reminder that the screens that connect us can also be used to invade our lives in the most personal ways. In the aftermath, I became more cautious, more guarded. My social media presence, once a source of joy and connection, was now a carefully curated facade designed to protect me from unseen eyes. The story of Echoes of You is a cautionary tale, a true horror story born from the digital age. It's a reminder that behind every username, every profile, there's a person. And sometimes that person is not who we think they are.